Welcome to the Milkshake Show, a spike concoction blending together the latest Web3 news stories, trends, and insights. I'm one of your hosts, Christopher Stonewall, podcaster, entrepreneur, educator, and let me throw it over to my co-host.
Hey, I'm Alvin. I'm the sidekick to Chris on the Milkshake Show.
There we go. Yeah. Well, I might add, Alvin Fu, recently, I did see some news about you not too long ago, maybe a couple days. Thinkers 360, top thought leaders, top 50 global thought leaders you should be working with in 2023. I see your name is on the list again. This isn't the first time. Again, right?
I must have been quite lucky.
I don't know, man. I don't know. You're doing something right. You're doing something right. That is pretty cool. But anyway, this is our first episode. Really, we've got the trailer out there, and the timing's pretty interesting, I must say, with what's been going down recently. I mean, obviously, there's a lot that's been happening the last year within the whole Web3 space, within crypto, all that stuff. But we had some big news today at the time of this recording. Out of the Bahamas, of all places, out of the Bahamas.
Oh, that's a spot that you and me should go holiday, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, we should be there right now, covering this big news item that's coming out. And obviously, what I'm referring to here is the SBF news, who was arrested by the Bahamian authorities on the request of the U.S. side. And yeah, at the time of this recording, it's unclear what the charges are, but there was a source, a New York Times source that was citing a person close or familiar with this story, that some of the charges most likely are going to be along the lines of wire fraud conspiracy, securities fraud conspiracy, and money laundering. Again, no big surprises here, but all the same, it's interesting because this is just the start. I mean, this is just the start. This story is not going to go away for a long time for a number of different reasons. But yeah, I mean, the last few weeks have been interesting to kind of just track it. You have SBF, who's been out there a lot. He's been speaking to everybody, right? He's going to BBC, New York Times. He's on Twitter Spaces. He's telling his side of the story.
He's a rock star.
Yeah. Well, he's trying to hold on to it. I don't know. He's trying to do, but he's been presenting himself, and I don't think this is by mistake or accident here, as the somewhat hapless or inept CEO who just kind of got in over his head. And I mean, I think that's maybe a nice point to enter this discussion, or to kick this discussion off. I mean, what do you think about all of that, Alvin? Are you buying this or what?
I'm not surprised. I mean, I've expected the arrest to have taken place a long time back.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure why it's taken such a long time. Obviously, that also has given time to Sam to take a rock star on stage, right?
Yeah.
Demonstrating that he's at no wrong, and obviously he has several reasons for that. But I think I'm not surprised that he's arrested. He should have been arrested a long time back already.
What do you think about his what he's been doing the last few weeks, though, in terms of having these interviews and be like, well, I didn't mean to do this, and that wasn't the intention. I just kind of, he's projecting this image of I just got in over my head. It just, are you buying that side of the story though? I don't know. What do you think of that?
Honestly, no. I think he's trying to frame. He's trying to frame to people that he's innocent, that he does not know. He does not know what went wrong, even though he has got some visibility. But when you handle, money of that scale,
yeah.
I mean, being a CEO of a company that handle more than 1 million people in terms of funds, crypto funds, right? Is next to she to say that you had no idea.
Yeah.
Not handling $50 and I've just forgotten my $50. It's just a loose chain, right?
Yeah.
But $10 million, in money management, that's a lot of money. Yeah. And we're talking about people. I'm sure there are lots of these small retailers. Majority of them, I'm sure these are the small retailers who have probably lost their life savings.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, these may be small money to Sam, but huge money for those individuals who have invested. on FTX. And
100%.
So I don't buy that story. I think he's just trying to paint a different picture, a Mr. Innocent guy.
He's going for that sympathetic sort of, woe is me, it was just a mistake. I just didn't know. Like, I don't know how many people are buying this though. Like, I can't imagine people like, oh yeah, it's probably right. That's probably what happened. Like, I just don't see how many people are going to be getting onto this or like buying into that story. You also had news coming out not too long ago of the new FTX CEO, John Ray, who basically is guiding the company through bankruptcy proceedings right now. And it's early stages for him of kind of just figuring out what's been going on. And he's been quoted as saying things like, within the operations, corporate controls have been lacking. There's been a shocking lack of financial or other record keeping. What else here? I think that's the general sort of take of what he's been finding out. And like, how can that be when you're running a company of that size, billions of dollars, and just like basic record keeping? Like, I mean, that's small business stuff, let alone like a corporation that's handling that kind of, funds within their accounts. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me that,
it's a total failure of management.
Yeah.
Let's not even talk about a company of that scale. Even a company that's like 100 times smaller.
Yeah.
Most people will manage it better because you would have a team of like for him, right? For FTX, I'm sure they have a team like the entire accounting and finance team.
Right.
I'm sure.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you have got a bunch of analysts, bookkeeper, right? These are the very basic, right? And there's no way that unless it's completely mismanaged.
Yeah, exactly.
The only way to screw up in that situation that it's complete mismanagement. But it doesn't seem that way. And he's not trying to picture that he knows nothing about it. And I'm quite sad, when you manage so many people money and all you can say that I have no idea what's happening. And to top it up, right? He lived in I think was that a 40 million penthouse. Right. Yeah. And then he bought like, tons of properties and these stuff that's going on, right? His action clearly speak, right? That he has created one of the largest Ponzi scheme, right?
Yeah.
And then he has made a lot of, he was literally just printing money out of FTT tokens, right? And made money out of thin air, right?
Yeah.
And at the expense of the people who put money with FTX, they have trusted him. With entire life savings, right? And these are the victims, right, of Sam's. I'm not sure whether he has planned this from day one. It doesn't seem that he has planned this from day one, but maybe along the way something went very wrong. Right?
That's what I think too. Like the speed at which all of this developed, I think probably plays into all of this too. Like the timeline of like how quickly he built this up, within the grand scheme of things. Like I think there's a point at which it started going up and it just seemed like nothing could go wrong. And probably at some point along that pathway, like the delusions perhaps started to set in, like, I can do whatever I want. It's fine. And like, just, I don't know. I'm guessing here. Obviously, I'm projecting here, and who knows? But like, from a humanistic point of view, and this is certainly not, trying to like, I don't know, give him any credit or sympathy for any of this. But at the same time, I think too, it's interesting. Like, just perhaps, like he just skyrocketed up so fast that he just lost touch with reality. And like, I think that plays into it, and that's no excuse. Like, there's no excuse because there's always like. There's ways and avenues of like bringing yourself back down to earth. And what you were just speaking of, like having strong teams around you, like that's part of the value of having a strong team within any organization is going to keep you grounded. You're going to have protocols in place that are going to allow you to, not break through a barrier that's going to be detrimental to the company or yourself, really, So like,
but when you build your organization like a house of cards, eventually you'll collapse. Eventually, I mean, he has built a so to speak, right? It was a very successful company in the eyes of many people, even in the eyes of any one of us in the industry. It was like, wow, 2019, right, to where it was like a couple of months back, right? was a multi-billion-dollar exchange and also research company.
Right.
And what he has done was just simply amazing, right? But I mean, I think at some point, I constantly scratch my head, many a time, that when I look at how we have fared in the industry, the kind of and versus how much money he has made, it's hard to believe that in 3 years, right?
Yeah,
he could accomplish so much, right? Like unless if you're growing a money tree at home, that you could just like go back home and plug some money whenever you need them, right?
Yeah.
So it felt that way because there was a time, I'm not sure what you track, right? There was a time where Terra UST was failing, that he went on to rescue. There was the story was to rescue Voyager and BlockFi. So it's hard to comprehend when you could make so much money in such a short. So unless it's Sam, and I always say maybe Sam just happened to be smarter than any one of us, smarter than CZ, smarter than any one of us, right? But obviously now with hindsight, it was really the entire organization was actually built like a house of cards.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Falling apart is just an eventuality. The question is at which point, right?
Yeah. Well, here's another quote that I dug up as well. That this is coming from SBF himself in one of these many interviews that he's given. And he's quoted as saying, there was no person in charge of positional risk that customers were facing. And that feels a little embarrassing now. Yeah, you think?
Absolutely.
Right? Like, how can you not have somebody, how can you not have a department essentially devoted to that? Like, it's unbelievable. Like, yeah, I like that metaphor, a house of cards, because that's exactly what it was. I think they were focused on one thing, which is just, more and more and more and more, that they just, put aside, issues such as this, individual investors and everything else. And what's happening now, obviously, is like just heartbreak for these individual investors. But even beyond that, though, too, it's just like the damage that's been done to the industry. I mean, it's already a trying time. It's already been a really tough time these last 18 months. And now you add this on top of it all. I mean, it's not helping, to say the least. And we have spin out from all of this, from other companies that were exposed. Other companies themselves are freezing assets now because of their exposure, and some are claiming bankruptcy themselves. So it's just this ripple effect as well that we're starting to see now too. That's an unfortunate byproduct of all this mess.
Yeah, I mean, the Terra incident was already bad enough, right? And now you top it up with FTX, right? It just
right.
I mean, the industry now is in so much pain, right? We have been in a bear market for at least prior to FTX at least for 6 months already, right?
Yeah.
And then with the FTX debacle, and I reckon that this bear market is going to stretch for a longer time. I don't have a magic number. I don't exactly know when the bear market is going to end, but it's definitely going, because of what you just mentioned earlier, the ripple mark effect, right? And God knows what's going to crash tomorrow, right? And I'm sure a lot of companies are interlinked. When you're talking about huge money losses here, so I'm sure there are lots of companies who are in partnership or cooperation with FTX or even Alameda, right? That's going to send them right to the same direction. So 100%. So some of these companies, I'm sure, yet to be seen, right? I mean, what's happening right now? You got Sam and FTX right at the forefront. I'm sure that the ripple effect will come through very soon. As I'm sure some of them are on the verge of bankruptcy already, or even if not, has gone bankrupt.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it's an unfortunate situation all the way through. I mean, I don't want this conversation today, especially our first episode, to be focused completely on the negative. However, I do have some things later on I think we can talk about that are like positive. But before we get into that, while we're all on the negative stuff right now, let's just pile on just a little bit more. I understand that there were some news. We were chatting, pre-recording a little bit from Binance, some Binance news. Maybe you'd like to share that with viewers.
Well, there's a FUD going on that Binance is insolvent. The DOJ is actually taking action against them. First, well, it's not a new news. Well, in fact, the DOJ news has actually gone back to as far as 2018. There was a talk that that the DOJ wants to take action against CZ and also on Binance. And again, this whole thing all came back up again because of FTX. I mean, optic wise, it's not a great timing, right? And obviously, there are people fighting that take out your money from Binance. They could be the next FTX and all that stuff, right? But personally, I'm not. I'm not making any recommendation, but I'm quite confident. Binance probably, it's probably one of the best exchanges in the world. Very well managed, and I think kudos to CZ who has done well in managing this company. And I think CZ is a person with integrity. I don't think Binance going down will serve the industry any good, including myself and also people in the industry. And I think everyone should stop flooding because flooding is actually not great for any one of us, unless if you are not in the crypto industry, right? So stop flooding and continue building. I think that's what I want to echo what CZ has tweeted just today. It's just sad that people are just flooding. I mean, well, if I want to highlight one point here. If you have money in the exchanges, big amount of money, take them out from the exchange, right? You can park them anywhere you want, either in your core wallet or whatever decentralized, wallet solutions that's available out there. But don't fund, right? I think the business, we are going through, this very bearish, moment where everyone is, trying to put things together and get things together. But we'll get to it. I'm very, very confident because we have gone through a few bear markets already, and it's a good time to return. It's painful now. But I'm very confident things will
totally. I'm just going to throw this in here. I like that sentiment. And before we go too much further, you might have alluded to this already, but this program, I mean, the Milkshake Show itself, we're not giving investment advice per se. This is more of a news program in that sense. So we just want to make that clear. Throw that disclaimer out. We didn't throw it in off the top, so we're going to put it in right now. But we want to make that to be really clear.
I mean, whatever that I mean, to the audience, whatever that we talk on this show and we chat on the show, nothing in the show, right? Nothing, whatever that we talk about is a recommendation. You got to do your own research, right? 100%. Go dig into things that I mean, if you're going to invest into a company, right? If you're going to invest your money, right? I'm very, very sure that you will have to do your own due diligence first, right? Don't take our advice blindly. And if you actually take our advice blindly, and you lose money, serve you right, man. Right? So do your own research as always.
Yeah, that's right. But if you do hit it big, make sure to contact us and
we'll throw in a secret wallet that you can keep in some cash to me and so we'll keep the show going.
So I mean, it's kind of a nice point, I suppose, like to shift on over perhaps into some optimism, right? To some optimism, and I think like we've been focused to this point on the exchanges, and that's where like a lot of the turmoil has been certainly centered. But then you have like this whole Web3 ecosystem that's not exactly dependent on that. You're having sources of income that are coming from Wall Street for some of these firms that are setting up shop within the metaverse and different operations that are built on solid fundamentals, and I think offer something that just like traditional businesses aren't offering at the moment. I have another podcast. I was just chatting with a guy who has an ed tech platform where he's serving the needs of like 8 to 13-year-olds and providing opportunities for them to learn on this platform with one another, building alternative education skills. Like there are companies like that, and so many in all different sectors that are like I said, setting up shop within this ecosystem. And there's a bunch of money flowing in because there is a lot of opportunity there, I think. And of course, you have the whole gaming community as well, different things going on there. Like I think there's a lot of optimism that is still being like thrown about, and rightfully so. I think there's going to be steps forward if we can just sort of, like you said, kind of bring everything together and sort of like focus on building this ecosystem even out further, so that it can sort of realize a lot of these dreams and hopes that a lot of us have for it. Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the world as a whole in starting up and also entrepreneurial, I mean, we live, you know, in many eras where whether it's industrialization, in the internet era, there's always going to be new companies coming up.
Yeah.
Right. Whether it's Web 1.0, you got the Yahoo days, the Yahoo era.
Yeah.
Then you got the Web 2.0, the Facebook, the Google era.
Yeah.
And obviously we are up to, you know, this, you know, so to, you know, people, you know, popularly refer them to 3.0, right? The decentralization era, right? Mm-hmm. So all these are opportunity. I'm bullish. I'm bullish in all this era because new companies are being created, new budding CEOs and entrepreneurs are going to be created, and new opportunities are created. Yeah, but in each of those era, right, there's always going to be the hype and the you know, the ups and downs, right? And followed by a lot of pain before it becomes really, really successful. And we've gone through in from Web 1.0 to Web 2.0. So we've seen them all, right? And I think Web 3.0 is no different. We will have to go through that moment of hype and pain and come back up again, because you need to filter, because not everybody is going to be successful.
Right. You're going to have bad actors, you know, within any industry. They're going to find their way in, and especially if they can take advantage and you know, all the loopholes that are available when things aren't exactly the tightest. You know, you're going to have these things happening, and then that's exactly what has been occurring the last little while, right? Like, it's just unfortunate that it's setting things back, but
the industry needs it, because, well, if you look at what's happening for the last 18 months, we talk a lot about crypto, but the world is bigger than crypto, right? If you look at the size of the market of crypto, even if you take the entire crypto market, right, that's like right now it's a lot smaller. It used to be like maybe $3 trillion, right?
Yeah.
And now it's like, you know, a lot smaller. Now probably 800, 900 million, probably $1 trillion. Now it sounds big, but if you start to take the size of the equity market in the US alone, right? Now easily 50 trillion. Now it used to be $100 trillion at the least, right? Now it's 50. And if you take that and you look at the size of crypto, tiny. I'm not even looking at derivative here, right? Yeah. So, and the other money market and so forth. So we are really just scratching, you know, the surface, right? So there's a lot of opportunity, and then Web 3.0 is coming in, and Web 3.0 is not about crypto. It's about decentralization. You know, the owner getting more power to hold on to his data and all that stuff. So it's a great opportunity, and I'm sure, you know, new business model will come out of it, and I'm sure new companies that will be so-called Web 3.0 giant, right, will be created in the future. Right, if you have, you know, Google in the Web 2.0, or I'm sure the likes of Google, the likes of Facebook, right, will exist in the Web 3.0, and it's exciting because it gives an opportunity to people to create new companies, right? Right, and that takes, you know, technology evolution and also business and also improvement to the next level.
Yeah. I love it, man. I love it. I think this might be a good point. Well, we're riding a bit of a high here, Alvin. I think maybe we should leave listeners, you know, looking for more for the next episode. But it's been a lot of fun. I mean, it's been a lot of fun. I think we broke things down, and it's been a nice first introductory episode as well.
As always, I feel good, and I think this is a nice way for us, you know, to end here, so that the next round when we come back, right, we gotta bring someone else, right? So I would serve as a great sidekick to you. What we need now is someone who can talk, you know, show us a bigger picture, right? And show us things that and help us learn things that we're not aware of, and maybe provide insights, right, to business. You know, could be, you know, things that they've learned, and also mistakes that they've made, right, over the years, that they can share to us and also to our audience, right? You know, so that they don't repeat those mistakes again.
That's right. That's right. I think it's the name of the game. That's what the Milkshake Show is going to be all about. So tune into the next episode, and we'll see you then.
Thank you. Right.
Alrighty. See ya.